Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're tuning from. So, welcome aboard the Africans Innovation Aviation Launch, wherever you're soaring from. And we are expecting a very smooth flight as we address a long overdue conversation about the issues pertaining to the African aviation airspace and the future of our industry. So, just a few tips as we start this exciting session. Keep your mic on mute, but if you have any questions, any thoughts, just share them on the chat. We'll have some polls, some exciting interactive moments. So, be ready to participate. And without much ado, I'm going to now just kick off with the first poll for the day, actually, or um, let's see. So, how many of you have visited the African Aviation's website? Have you visited it yet? I think in the back end, we can have our tech support just pull up the poll. So, when you look at your screen, if you're on mobile phone, just scroll below. If you're using a desktop, look to your right, you'll see a poll just below the chat button. Tap on it and actually respond to the question. So, our first poll: have you visited the Africans in Aviation website yet? Yes, no, or you are still thinking about it. So, we can count down from 10 seconds: 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Get your answer in 3 seconds, 2 seconds. All right. Let's see. How many of you have visited our platform yet? Oh, that's amazing. We have two-thirds of us in the room. You've already been to the site, so a big clap to all of you. Then we have some new people, visitors. Welcome, visitors. There's no one on the way there. So I'm hoping those who said no in the next few seconds, they will be making their way there to check out what we have. All right, then the next quick question to just warm us up. So, for those who visited the site, what has been your favorite feature? Again, go back to the polls. You can see some options there. We have conversations, we have written articles, we have a discussion board, we even have a professional database where you get to connect with other people in the aviation industry. So, select your favorite feature in 10 seconds. Well, 5 seconds. And 3, 2, 1. Let's hear it. Let's see the most popular website experience of the day. Oh, guys, people, what's happening? Anyway, no worries. We're hoping that by the end of this session, we'll have given you an introduction into the platform. You'll be able to see how it's going to play a key role in your career, in your visions, and your objectives, your targets in just furthering your career. So then let's get to it. Let's actually now meet the person, the brains, the visionary behind this incredible platform. I'm going to introduce you now to Andrew. Um, yes, actually, let me just let Andrew do his thing. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Very good. So, thanks everyone who's joined and other people that come. We look forward to having conversations with you. Uh, this has been a journey over a few years, a few months more actively, and looking forward to talking a bit more about it today. So, Lydia,
Yeah.
how do we do this?
Yeah, I'm thinking for our audience, I know there are quite a number of people who know Andrew because of the very illustrious career you've had, the many years of experience. Maybe we can start by telling them, how you got into aviation, and I would say how you are steering this industry, this sector into the future.
Okay, great. So, Kenyan, born and raised. I grew up in a place called South B that some people might know. I studied aerospace engineering in the UK after I finished high school in Kenya. After I came home, I worked with Kenya Airways. It was the first job that I got. I joined as a graduate engineering trainee. I finished my traineeship and I moved into an area called fleet development. So, fleet development essentially deals with aircraft acquisitions, disposals, that sort of project, fleet planning, looking out into the future, and so on. After a few years in KQ, I left and I went to learn a bit more about the industry, working for an airline called Cathay Pacific, based in Hong Kong, which was quite a different experience. It was unlike anywhere that I'd been before. So that was a challenge, and I got to learn a lot more about the industry because Cathay is quite an old airline. They've been in operations for well over 7 decades, so they know their stuff. After being with Cathay for a couple of years, I left and went back to, well, not back, but I went to Dubai and I joined an entity called GCAS. Not many people might know GCAS if they're not in the industry, but GCAS was at the time one of the two largest aircraft leasing companies. At the time I joined them, they had about 1,500 aircraft placed with airlines all over the globe. I worked with GCAS for just under 3 years. Then it was time to go home for me. Coincidentally or not coincidentally, that was just before I got married. So went into Kenya, got married, and on the day that I was celebrating 2 weeks of being married, I had been in the US taking delivery of aircraft for Kenya Airways for several days, which I can say some people are not very happy with me at the time. But yeah, I had rejoined Kenya Airways as the head of fleet development. We took delivery of several aircraft before the airline came into a few headwinds. So we worked through the process trying to get everything sorted out. Took a few years, a lot of efforts, a lot of input from many people to keep the airline together. And it was at that point that I started seeing the seeds of what would become this platform that we're having a talk about today. Yeah. But a few years later, I felt it was time to make another move, and I joined my current employer based in Dubai, where I've been for the past 5, almost 6 years. So that's a little bit about me.
Well, Andrew, on behalf of the whole industry, we apologize for your very short honeymoon. we are with yeah, we understand. It's the nature of the business, and I mean that at this time you started now seeding this idea about this platform. So I know there are
Yeah,
quite some key challenges that particularly stood out.
yeah.
That were a real pain point, and a lot of our viewers today are going to be able to relate with. So, what are some of those challenges? You know.
Okay, so part of my role in Kenya Airways was to engage with the financiers of our aircraft, some of whom are aircraft leasing companies. And many people might not know much about aircraft leasing, but a key part of what leasing companies look at is your risk profile. So I'd have frequent conversations with my contacts on that side just to understand, to help them understand where we were as a company, what was happening. Yeah. Now, some people might remember around, I forget the exact year, but there was two terrorism incidents. There was multiple attacks in Paris, and there was an attack on a university in Garissa in Kenya. Now, the conversations that I had with many leasing companies, and through no fault of their own, they wanted to understand what was going on. And what I realized was that there was concern about what the terrorism incident had done to Kenya Airways' prospects as a business. Yeah, and I had to come and explain that, look, yes, it was a terrorism incident, but Garissa is very far away from Nairobi, several hundred kilometers, and this has no impact or minimal impact, if at all, to Kenya Airways business. And it occurred to me as I was having those conversations that there were probably no people calling Air France to ask them the same question, despite the fact that these were multiple terrorism attacks in Paris, which is where their headquarters are. So I started to think that maybe it's time that we find a way to tell our own stories as Africans. You know, I don't think the world has done a good a job as we would like in telling African stories. And I think it's important that we tell our own stories so that we can tell complete stories.
I agree with you 100%. We have had someone on our podcast talking about dealing with the issue of airlifting goods, very peculiar African challenges. Yeah, so now having looked at these challenges, I know it's been many years. It has to take some superpower or some special motivations to keep moving forward, to keep forging ahead. And I know there are lots of people who are here today to get inspired and see the light ahead. So, what are those motivations that have, brought you to the point of Dubai, current employer, and well, a visionary for the African airspace?
Sorry, could you please repeat that?
Yeah, having looked at all these challenges, you keep
Yeah,
moving forward. Now we're at
yeah,
a point where you're launching this incredible platform that is going to
yeah.
solve a lot of issues in policies, in even career development at a personal level. So, what keeps you motivated? What keeps you going?
Right. So when I was in Kenya Airways and we were struggling through the tough times that we were going through, it occurred to me that as much as I had options, you know, I could potentially leave the country and go somewhere else as I had done before. There were many people that didn't have those options. And when I look at myself, I'm not a politician. I'm not necessarily interested in doing charity work or going into government and policy. And so when you get to a certain point in your life, you start asking yourself, what can I give back? And to who can I impact with the choices that I make and the things that I do? You know, uh, and one of the sayings that I believe in is that if those who can do something don't do it, then nothing changes. Yeah. So what drives me forward in this is aviation is an economic driver, and countries that have strong aviation industries tend to grow their economies. And there's studies that have been done on this. So my view is if I can help aviation in Africa get better, then hopefully that can help to improve some economies, and by doing that, improve some people's lives. I don't think I'm going to solve world hunger or all the challenges that our home faces, but I'm positive that if I do a little and a few other people join me in doing a little, then that little grows. And at some point, we'll hand over the baton to the next person. And if they can do more, who knows where we'll be 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line.
Yeah, thank you very much, Andrew. I'm so inspired right now. I could just go into the cockpit and take flight and fly.
They won't let you on. You need to be licensed.
Oh gosh, oh yes. And I know that's why we have this platform today. I know you have prepared sort of a tour of the platform for people. So I think we are
Yeah.
ready. Yeah.
Just before that, I think it would be good if maybe as just an introduction, there's a little video that I have on the front page of the website. Yeah. Perhaps we could go to that first.
Absolutely. All right, coming up.
Hello, my name is Andrew Mudachi. I'm an African, an aviation professional, and very proud to be both. Over the 20 or so years of my career, my passion to see both my worlds succeed has grown. Aviation is a gateway to a successful economy, and I believe that through its development, many African nations can find some solutions to some of the challenges we face. It's with this ideal in mind that I came up with the idea for the Africans in Aviation platform. One of our defining characteristics as Africans is our sense of community. We gather together to celebrate in times of joy. We come together to condole in times of sorrow. Most importantly, however, is how we come together when some among us are in need. So I thought, for all its unfulfilled potential on this continent, why not do the same for our industry? That's my vision for the Africans in Aviation platform, a place of community where we come together to share our collective knowledge and experiences, a place where we, as African aviation professionals, can tell our own stories, gather our wisdom, and find meaningful local solutions to some of the challenges our industry faces. I hope you'll join and subscribe and join me on this journey. I hope you'll help me build this platform by giving me your thoughts and giving us your feedback. Tell us what you think about our content, what you'd like to see us discuss. We look forward and we welcome your positive feedback and your constructive criticism. With your input, we will hone our content and do our best to have meaningful conversations that move us forward. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and welcome.
Thank you very much, Andrew. We feel very, very welcome. And I think for our viewers, our platform, you can find us on www.africansinAviation.com. I'll just share that on chat. Okay.
Sorry, just one moment. I think there's some interference on my side. Sorry about that.
No problem. So you can just find our link at www.africansinnovation.com. We just share it on chat. So then, Andrew, about our platform, talked
Yes.
about we want guys to come explore it, tell us what they think about it. And we've done a poll, an exciting poll, of which we didn't really have anyone scoring even 1% in terms of the
Yeah.
features we have on our platform. So let's talk about it. I mean, we have conversations, we have written
Yeah.
articles, discussion boards, and the professional directory. Maybe we can just give them a little summary. There are the exciting results of our poll on the screen.
No problem. Look, I think today is our launch, and I'm not surprised that we many people don't know about the platform. It's only been live for a few days, maybe about 2 3 weeks, and this is the purpose of having this launch to introduce people to it, so that they can get to see what it is that we're trying to do. So the first thing maybe I'll talk about is the conversations. What I'd like us to have on the site is three different things. First of those, which you can see some of on right now, is journeys. And the purpose of journeys is to talk about specific people in the industry and this doesn't have to be CEOs, it could be people all across the board, and have a conversation about their careers. How did they start? What are the different things they learned along the way, and how they found themselves where they are within the aviation industry? Because I think those are important stories for people that are trying to figure out different directions they might want to go, or if they're trying to seek inspiration from people who are of a similar background to them. So if you're a pilot and you're trying to see what's my next step, I've been flying for 10, 15 years and I'm looking for a change. If you were to come across a video about one pilot who maybe transitioned into safety or moved into a different part of operations, sorry, then I think the journeys will have served the purpose, just in giving people ideas of what it is that could be and paths that other people have followed. In other words, the journeys other people have taken. Then another part of the conversations, which is not yet live but is a plan for the near future, is about showcases where we can have some video features that will talk about people in the industry, organizations in the industry, so that people can get to see a bit more about what African aviation has to offer. A few years, actually, like maybe 1.5 years ago, I was fortunate enough to travel to Zambia. I was in Lusaka. It was my first trip there, and I was there on business. And I was very impressed with the airport, with the facilities that they had. And I didn't know much about what Lusaka Airport was. I knew Kenya Airways flew there, but I'd never had a reason in the regular course of my work to travel there. By seeing that, I got to see how the advancements that they're making. So I'd like to showcase what different African aviation entities and people are doing. Then lastly, there's challenges that we have in our industry, and I'd like us to have conversations about what it is that people can do, what we think are the solutions to those, what are the hurdles that we think we can overcome in resolving those challenges, and basically having meaningful conversations about our industry as Africans that are in the industry. Yeah. So that's conversations. Then written articles is pretty much the same thing, but now in the format of um, written articles, like knowledge sharing, for example. I think we have a very broad and diverse industry, and sharing the knowledge, I think, helps everyone understand it better and make better decisions and have conversations about how their part of the industry affects other parts of the industry and vice versa. I mean, if I may tell you a small little story, when I was in Kenya Airways, just before the global financial crisis, as an airline, we were seeking different ways to reduce our operating costs. And all the different departments were tasked with coming up with ways to, to reduce costs. The flight operations department came up with quite a good idea. When you land an aircraft, one of the ways that you use to slow it down is called thrust reversers, which is basically diverting the engine thrust from pushing backwards to pushing forwards, which slows the plane down. So the flight operations community said that they would like to use the brakes instead of the thrust reversers, which is brilliant because for those few seconds you are not burning any fuel. So they run their numbers and they saw we'll make the savings, and they went ahead and did it, which was brilliant. What happened on the flip side was that the bloopware increased because now you're doing more with your brakes than they had been doing before, and so the maintenance guys actually saw their cost go up because brakes are wearing more frequently and have to be replaced more frequently. So if people are having conversations where they're talking to each other and the pilots understand what the engineers are doing a bit better, and the engineers understand what the pilots are doing a bit better, then maybe a situation like that could be either avoided or at least it qualified at the beginning so that people know, yes, I can get some savings, but it's not going to be 100% of what I've calculated because there's this impact on the other side. So by having these written articles where we can share our opinions, where we can share our knowledge, where we can share and celebrate current affairs and successes, then maybe people will get to understand the industry better. And if those in the industry understand it better, then better decisions are made, airlines do better, and hopefully everyone succeeds. And then the last items that I'll talk about would be the discussion boards and the professional database in the same theme of the conversations and the articles. This is now an opportunity for subscribers to share that information themselves, as opposed to it being us in the back office doing this. So on the discussion board, for anyone who knows something like Reddit or Quora, you can go in and post a topic and say, I'm curious about this and this. Does anyone have some thoughts? Or I'm facing this problem in the industry. Has anyone in another airline faced a similar problem? And can you talk me through the solution that you came up with? You know, because if we help each other move further, then we can reduce the amount of time and effort that it takes us to find solutions. And maybe by having these conversations, someone comes up with an idea that they didn't have before. Uh, and lastly, within that space of sharing, we can share different contacts, which is what the professional database is about. So if I met a lawyer who is a skilled lawyer in aviation, and I share that contact on the platform, maybe someone who wants to do business in the country that this lawyer is domiciled can have their contacts and save themselves some time. Yeah. So that in general is the different modules. I believe there is a little video that will talk people through them. Because maybe people might be a little tired of listening to me here, so they can listen to me on the little video.
No, it's not about listening to you. I mean, I really love that the foundation of this platform, it's actually the same as the African DNA. You know, Ubuntu. You know,
Mhm.
working together, coming together,
Yes,
crowdsourcing solutions, talking to each other,
absolutely.
beating similar mentality. So yeah, let's give them the video before they run away.
Hello, everyone. My name is Andrew Mdachi from Africans in Aviation, and welcome to this tour of our platform. Whether this is your first time or if you're already a subscriber, I hope the tour is informative and shows you all the cool features and areas that we have on the site. So, without further ado, let's jump into it. So, I've already logged in here. And when you first log in, the first thing that you will see will be your profile page. So if you have a monthly subscription, it is here that you can upgrade it to an annual one. On my profile page, I can update a number of items. First, I can enter some basic information about myself, such as my gender, if I want to put in my phone number, the country that I'm in, a summary of my bio, and a profile picture. Next, if I want to look at my invoices, I can click on the invoice selection here, which will show me any payments that I've made and any payments that are due. Then one of the key items that we have on the site is the professional profiles. I can show my current role, and if I'd like to, I can add my past experience if I'd like to showcase some of my skills and experience. Then the last feature on this is quite cool. It's what we call my professional directory. So one of the key goals of Africans in Aviation is for us to grow our networks and connections. And this is one of the ways that we want to do this. So let's say I know of a training academy in South Africa. I come to my professional directory because I'd like to share this with the rest of the users on the platform. What I will do is I will click on Add Record. I will get the details of this particular place, which is called Alt Academy. Academy. Let's just put that in because we're not doing this for a particular person. Alt Academy, email address, they say inquiries at altacademy.com. Website is www.altacademy.com. Physical address, they are in Fortress Street and Whirlwind Street, Rhodesfield, Kempton Park, Johannesburg. Okay, great. So I've put in the details. I choose the country they're in. They're in South Africa. Profession, in this case, this is aviation training, and I can put in some details which I'll add later. So if I am done and I would like to save the record, I can choose to either publish it or not to publish it. So if I choose not to publish it and save it, then the directory remains in my area. However, if I do choose to have it published and save the record, then what happens is that this is now available in the professional directory. You can see that this was created by me. Okay, so let's go back to my profile. My hope is that over time we'll be able to create a repository of contact details for a large percentage of aviation professionals on the African continent. Okay, so we've updated our profile, and now we want to continue to explore content on the site. So first thing that we do is we go to the home page, which is broadly divided into 3 sections. The first section, which is at the top, allows you to navigate the site. You can explore what modules are available. You could access your inbox or your notifications, or you could navigate to the page that allows you to get in touch with us. The next section, as you scroll down, is what we call our features section. And here is where we highlight the latest conversations that we have, the articles that we have, any discussion board topics that may be trending. Moving further down, we provide brief descriptions of the different modules that the platform has, which is conversations, the discussion board, we have written articles, the professional directory, and professional profiles. So we'll look at each of these in turn, starting with conversations. Now, to navigate, you can either click one of these boxes, or you could come to the Explore tab and select it from there. So let's go first to conversations. On the conversations landing page, you have links to all the conversations that have been uploaded onto the platform. Now, new episodes will be uploaded every 2 weeks, and you'll have the option to be notified whenever a new video is available to watch. As the amount of content grows, you can search for conversation by typing a keyword in the search bar. For example, we can type journeys, which is one of our segments. When we click search, the first one, which is a conversation with Mbuvingunze, comes up. To watch this, simply click on the link. Once it loads, hit play and enjoy. The video will start playing shortly. And you can go through it that way. Okay? Once you've finished watching your video, you can scroll down, and there's a comment section where you can have a discussion about the video. Alternatively, you could choose to share on your social pages or navigate to the right where we have some of the other videos that are available. Okay, so that's it for the conversations. So moving to the next section, which is the discussion page, the discussion board, sorry. Let's go to the home page and then navigate to the module that is discussion board. So the discussion board is an open forum. The intention of it is to have different conversations and discussions about different topics. So for example, let's go into in-flight entertainment, IFE. And here you can either create a new post if you want to start a new discussion, or you can scroll down and see what is already existing and click on an existing conversation and provide your comments or respond to comments that have been made there. Okay. If you would actually like to go to a different conversation while staying on the discussion board, all you have to do is scroll up to this point here, click on discussion board, and it brings you back to the landing page where all the different options are available. Then, moving to the articles, let's click on home. Now, just to let you know, you don't always have to go back to the home page. You can also use the Explore tab as another way to navigate, like this. And this brings you to the landing page for articles. On the left here, you will see our three broad categories of articles. We have knowledge sharing, where experts in a particular area will share information about that area. Current affairs, which deals with more topical issues, and opinion pieces, where the author shares their thoughts on a particular topic. A different article will be published once a week. Like the conversations, you will also have the option to be notified when a new article is available to read. So, when we scroll down, we can see all the different articles that are there, and we can choose one. Let's see which one we will go for. How about this one? So, when you come to the article page, you can read the article, and at the very end of it, you have the option to comment about it, just like you had in the conversations. You also have a bit of information about the contributor, in this case, Mr. Ronnie Afema. And what you can do is you can click on Read More by Ronnie, which takes you to a bio page for that author, but also shows you the additional articles that this author has contributed. Okay, great. So let us explore the next section, which is professional profiles. So this is the penultimate module on the platform. It shows all the subscribers who have entered information into their profiles. So if you're seeking a particular person or you're looking for a particular profession, this is the place to start. Once on the landing page, you simply hover over the image. It'll darken like this and the arrow comes up. So click on that arrow and it moves you to the person's profile page. You'll find out a little bit about the person, any information they have in their bio. If you scroll further down, you can see some of the experience. Again, this is what they have uploaded into their profile. And lastly, if you'd like to contact this person, you can simply type a message to them and hit send, and that will be delivered into their inbox. The next element, which is the last element that we'll explore today, is the professional directory. So this is what we spoke about earlier, where we will have the opportunity to find and share contacts of different aviation professionals, those that you've had a chance to work with. So you can input their information on your own profile page. It will appear here if you choose to publish it. Then anyone can come here and search for it. So if, for example, you tried to search by name and you say alt, it will show this. If you tried, for example, to search for lawyer, then it'll tell you that there are no results. But if you search for aviation training, then Alt Academy comes back up. Okay? So this brings us to the end of this mini tour. I hope it was helpful. And I hope you'll subscribe to the platform so we can grow this industry through connections. We look forward to welcoming you. Thank you very much for your time. Kwaherini. To the stream.
Yeah, this is such a fantastic platform. I hope people are as
Thank,
excited as we are.
thank you very much. Yeah, so maybe just one thing to point out about the video. The video is available uh, behind the payment gateway on the website. So if someone would like to go through it to understand what the site offers before they actually subscribe onto the site, then they can watch the video before select the different chapters to understand what's on the site before they move on.
Mm. All right, and we have some interesting questions on the Q&A.
Yeah.
For those tuned in, please add your questions. I'll just address them one by one. The first one is from Richard. Richard, thank you for joining us. And yeah, thank you for appreciating this great idea. So you're asking, could we include areas for the different parts of the aviation value chain, like air traffic management, airports and airlines? So, mhm. Andrew, over to you.
So I'm not very sure what area Richard is referring to, but I'll try to answer from the different areas that it could be, at least as I understand. When it comes to the discussion board, there are multiple different areas there. We had initially included things from the an airline's operations, but it's not limited to that. We can and we will increase the discussion board topics to include, or topic areas, shall we say, to include things that you've mentioned there: airports, air traffic, and so on. Because this is not Africans in airlines; it's Africans in aviation. the The intent is to have conversations with the whole value chain because it's an ecosystem and the different parts work well with each other, or they don't work well with each other, but they have to work with each other. So on the purpose of the discussion board, absolutely. When it comes to the professional database, yes, we can increase the categories that we have there. The intent is actually to grow as many contacts as we can get throughout aviation, so that if, for example, you wanted to start an airline in, let's say, Angola, then I'd like this to be a source where you have, what would you call it, where you can come to the site and say, I'm looking for a lawyer, I'm looking for a consultant that can help me go through the process of getting an air operator certificate. I'm looking for licensed engineers. I'm looking for finance people who understand about airlines and aviation. And by selecting the country, you can get a list of people that are there, and it'll shorten your search and hopefully make the process of you moving forward easier. So absolutely, Richard, the different elements that you're talking about would like to include there. I hope that answers your question. Okay. Is there another question, Lydia?
There's a question coming in, but before it lands, I have a question for our viewers. Now that you've had the tour, the maiden flight, you've taken the maiden flight on our platform, which is your favorite feature? You can actually just drop it on chat. Just tell us what you like most and why, because it will help us understand, how to improve on it better, how to give you more value for your time and for your, well, money,
That's a question to the audience.
Oh, absolutely. Question to the audience. And in the meantime, I'll just continue going through the chat. Catherine, thank you. It's great hearing from you. Yeah, everybody's congratulating Andrew. Congratulations for this amazing platform. And yeah, it's actually greetings from Catherine, Leonard, Kamene, Musiok. It's a whole troop. Amazing, guys. Welcome to the platform. Please go to the website link and subscribe. Let's start having these conversations and connecting. And we have the question from Leonard on screen. We do have a section for collaborative or partner industries like tourism and hospitality.
So it hadn't been in our initial portfolio plan, but I don't see any reason why we couldn't dovetail into that. Just simply because they work within, like, if you broaden the ecosystem, tourism and hospitality is very integrated with aviation. Even domestically, in a country like Kenya, for example, a lot of domestic tourism is driven by aviation, whether you're talking about with carriers like Safari Link or Kenya Airways, or even if you're talking about the smaller general aviation partners, or even balloons. Hot air balloons is still aviation. So I think tourism and hospitality are quite closely linked, and I think there's definitely a conversation to have about the intersections.
Oh yeah, I can actually add on to that. I mean, domestic tourism went wild in Kenya. If
Hmm.
we use Kenya as a case study,
Yeah,
and around every sort of festive season occasion, we have these partnerships where you pay for flights, 5,000 Kenya shillings to and from the coast to Nairobi. So that's how many kilometers? That's quite some distance. On road, it's about six
five
hours.
600. Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, definitely, there's a lot of opportunities here, even in the corporate scene. These sorts of partnerships where you're seeing corporates because they do need to take their staff for team building and whatever the events are, corporate events. So
yeah.
I think
Okay.
that would be very exciting. Leonard, welcome to the discussion board. Please come, subscribe, and let's drive this conversation.
Okay.
And so now, we do have another question. And for this one, whoever gets the answer right, we are going to reward you with a free subscription for a period. And we just want to test who has been so keen on this narrative since we launched. And the man of the hour is Andrew, so our question is related to Andrew. Let's see if you paid attention. So Andrew is a visionary in this space. That's what we are calling him. We are choosing to call him a visionary. But before then, he's been many things. In his childhood, he had many dreams. So our question for today is: in another life, what would have been Andrew's career? Let's say if you've all been paying attention, actually just share your answer on the chat, and the person who gets it right, free subscription, free access to this platform, free access to a space where you can interact with the who is who. Oh, yeah. Catherine is on fire. Oh, with a question. All right. So please share your answer as we address the next question from Catherine. Adri, is there an opportunity to connect aviation professionals with funders to grow ownership among indigenous Africans in African aviation? Wow, that's a good question. On funding, financial empowerment for people
Yeah,
who want to. Yeah, okay.
that that's a very good topic for a discussion, and I don't think I can do it justice, but I'll do my best. I think financing and funding aviation is one of the biggest challenges that we have. And I think there's a lot of people who don't even know where to start. They don't know the banking institutions or the leasing companies or the other financing entities that could fund an aviation enterprise. So yeah, I think this is an opportunity for people to have that conversation. Um, and it's also good for people in an informal setting to understand what do the funders want, because very often, like even in my professional space, I'll find people have a great idea about like setting up an airline, but they haven't really understood the dynamics of what it takes to do that. So whatever it is that they're planning at a budget perspective is far below what they need. And whenever you go to a bank or a leasing company with a plan that is half baked, it tends to dent their confidence in you if they get the sense that you don't necessarily know what you're doing. So I think that this space could actually help bridge some of that gap where the people that are considering going into aviation or expanding into different area can ask questions of their peers and other counterparts, get some information, hopefully also get the context that they need, and then approach the funding institutions at the right time. But yeah, I think this would be a brilliant discussion board topic, and also maybe one of the conversations we should have in the future.
Maybe even that just triggered the thought. I mean, the public-private partnership space as well. That would be interesting to see how policymakers, even the government itself, can play a more active role in this space. A lot of thoughts. You're triggering lots and lots of thoughts. So we have another question. Oh, this from Tito. Welcome, Tito. Thank you for tuning in. So, Andrew, in your extensive
Yeah.
experience, it is interesting to know, in your opinion, what are the biggest challenges in the African aviation space? What can we do to
Okay.
resolve them, and what are the quick wins and gains?
Wow. Tito, that's a heavy question. Just for the purposes of this conversation, what I would say is that perhaps the biggest overarching question or challenge is in your question. Because I think looking for quick wins is sometimes the problem, because ours is a very long horizon industry. And one of the things that I think we could do better as Africans in aviation is become better at long-term planning. Some of the biggest airlines in the world you'll find are looking at their plans for 10, 15 years down the line. And often we'll speak to airlines on the African continent, and you find they have maybe a 2, 3 year horizon, when all the different elements that we would encounter, whether it's resource planning, like if you need engineers or pilots, it takes a long time to train them to a world standard. It takes a long time to acquire aircraft. It takes a long time and a lot of resources in terms of cash to acquire your tools and equipment and the training facilities and so on. So I think a big overarching problem is how we develop strategies and therefore how we plan. And I think maybe the quick win in terms of starting down that journey is having the conversation about strategic planning. to say whatever it is, whether you want to be a maintenance and repair organization, or you want to set up a training facility, or you want to set up an airline. The the reality is that the planning cycle is quite long, and once you start, it'll take quite a bit of time before you're stable and profitable, and that needs to be factored into your planning. So I hope that answers your question, Tito. And if not, I think we can meet on the discussion board and continue the discussion there with a few more inputs.
Right, right. I mean, I've seen somebody get the shock of his life. He had this big idea to start an airline in Kenya, and he was told, "Oh yeah, the approval process for the licensing and all takes 10 years." That
Yeah,
was a real shocker.
yeah.
So,
Well, it wouldn't necessarily take 10 years.
yeah,
You could probably get an airline licensed in 1 or 2 years, but a
mm,
big part of the process is getting all the as they say, the ducks in a row, and then moving from licensed to operating, and then
yeah.
moving from operating to being profitable.
Mhm.
That is what might take 10 years.
Yeah, I believe my candidate is a ripe candidate for this platform because as of now he's expecting a 10-year journey that could be shorter if he has the right connections. So we'll talk
Absolutely.
hence on that.
Yeah.
All right. So we have another message from Edward or Kavinya on our screen. Hello. What do you have in store for aviation students or people starting out in the industry? For the youngins, just stretching their wings to fly.
Yeah. So I think the youth are a very important part of the aviation conversation that has kind of been left out of the discussion. And I would like, through this platform and maybe some follow-on things that you'd like to do under this platform, is to start engaging more with the youth in aviation. And I know we call them youth. From the purposes of this, I'm looking at people from maybe grassroots level, even if you're looking at children in primary level, secondary, and into university or tertiary education. But then also people who are just starting their careers, because I remember two and a half decades ago when I was starting, and I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't know who I could ask. How do I get to this point? I had a big ambition to say I want to be a CEO of the airline by this age, but I didn't know who could tell me these are some of the things that you might want to consider. These are some of the learning journeys that you might want to take. Like someone once told me, I need to have a good understanding of finance, even if I'm not going to be a finance professional. Then I I learned some of those things the hard way, or followed a longer path to get there. And I would like this platform to be an avenue for those that are just starting out or considering a career in aviation to kind of leapfrog the steps. So they'll still have work to do, but having a place where you can find mentors, where you can ask questions, where you can say, hey, I don't understand this, what do you think? Or I'm thinking of following this path, would someone give me some advice? I think that can help. So one of the things that we have in store, we're hoping we can get to the point where we have reduced subscription fees for the people that are students. um, And then we're hoping at some point to have youth specific forum where we can have the conversations about aviation. And I'd also like to have a situation where we can have people who are just starting in their careers give their opinions on certain things in the industry. Because when you go to industry events, you find a lot of the people that are having the conversation have a lot of experience. They've been there for 10, 20, 30 years, and sometimes even more. someone who is new, someone who grew up in a different generation can ask a question in a way that might open eyes to different possibilities. And I'd like us to have some of those conversations. Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe, Lydia, I think just because I mentioned subscription, and I think one person asked why we are charged, like why we're charging on the platform. And it's a very simple reason. It costs money to create content, to host a platform, and to provide the information that we want. Other sites, they might be free of charge on the surface in terms of there's no upfront subscription, but there is a way that the funds are generated. And usually that is done through sponsorship or through other forms of revenue that might include advertising revenue. And the reality of sponsorship revenue and advertising revenue is that you are, to a certain extent, you're beholden to the people that are funding your enterprise. So I would like the costs of maintaining this platform and developing this content to be based on the wants and needs of the people that are paying for it. So the subscribers are the ones who pay for it, and therefore they are the ones who drive the content that we have, rather than an advertiser or a sponsor pushing their agenda for the purposes of the funds that you need. So it's just trying to find that balance between the cost of doing things and the dynamics of what it is that people might want.
All right. I think that was a really elaborate answer to why we need
Mhm.
to fund this. All good things come with a little bit of investment, and
Yeah.
we want the platform to be robust to support all the discussions we expect. And actually to keep up with the times. We have a lot of changes coming about. We want an engaging platform that's interactive, that gives you a great user experience. And it takes a little bit of investment into that. So, Andrew, we've got another question from Kavinia.
Yeah.
Thank you for your response. Will you be recruiting aviation clubs in schools as associate members?
Yes, we're still working through the exact timeline, but we'd like to do that sooner rather than later. I think right now the content is developed a bit more from a professional perspective, so like people who have started working. But once we get a little bit of traction in terms of subscribers, yes, absolutely, we'd like to have engagements with the aviation clubs, engagements with like at different levels. So what primary school students might need to engage with in terms of aviation is different from what high school students might need, which is different from what university students might need. So we'd like to have conversations about tailoring content for those segments, and then having engagements with them. Maybe I can foresee something where you get subscribers that are in a particular country to act as ambassadors for certain outreach and engagements that you have with schools and learning institutions and aviation clubs within that particular country. Yeah, so it is part of the broader plan. It will take a little bit of time and a few more resources before we can do it as well as we'd like.
All right. Do you have any more questions? Add them to the Q&A or on chat. So from Edward, he says it looks like an exciting platform. Well, Edward, it is an exciting platform. Yeah, and hopefully it helps demystify matters aviation and create opportunities in our continent. So Edward is looking forward to feedback on the discussion board, given how hot a topic airport leasing and airport operations in Kenya at the moment are. I mean, yeah,
Yep.
the airport conversation is hot. So, Edward, make sure you subscribe before our session ends. Be one of the first members, the pioneers of this amazing platform, and we'll carry on with these discussions on the platform. You're also welcome to participate in our Journeys podcast series. You can tell us more about, where you're headed, where you think the African airspace should head in the future. Um, I don't think we have any more questions, Andrew.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and I think we can now get back to our the answers to our interesting questions. We did ask what would be Andrew's future other career if not aviation, and we've had one response from Patrick. Patrick says policeman. Okay, so guys, the thing is, I know some may see Andrew and just see a policeman, but well,
Is it the high collar?
yeah. Oh, Leonard Dick's an actor. Okay, I can see that because of the podcast and always being camera ready. Uh, well, the thing is, it was a trick question, guys. We had to test if you're paying attention. We really didn't talk about that, but we will on the next event. But Andrew, I'm thinking we can reward Patrick for effort.
I
And
think that would be a good idea.
all right, Wood, Kavinya dancer. Interesting. Andrew, you think you'd be a
Yeah.
dancer? Maybe now on your next flight, you can just come with some African moves,
Oh,
just
you
slip.
you have no idea.
Oh, goodness. Oh, all right. So, with that, guys, we are going to announce some of our winners. In our invitation to this event, we had even promised the first 100 people to register would be surprising one person with a prize. Um, just a moment, and we are going to look at that. Oh, in the meantime, Kavinya, thank you. Thank you for your response. Oh, Tito. Hey, Andrew, congratulations again. Thank you, Tito. Let us meet on the discussion board. Let us meet in Janice. And again, we are on socials. We are on LinkedIn. You can find us on X, Facebook, Instagram, and even YouTube. Keep an eye out for our content. We'll be sharing trailers and sneak peeks across social, but the real stuff, it's all going down at africansinnovation.com. So make sure you subscribe before we leave. Okay, Andrew. Yeah, thanks, Eric. Congratulations. All the best with the platform. I think now we can just announce our winners
Sure.
and get dates. Yeah, all right. So yeah, we have our winner. We had a winner. We did a randomization of the first 100 people to register for this event, and a name was picked randomly, quite randomly. So congratulations, Eric Musimbe. I hope Eric is here. Eric, is that you? Wishing Andrew all the best. Congratulations to you. And Patrick, congratulations. Thank you for answering our question. You are very wrong. Andrew is the farthest thing from becoming a policeman, but we appreciate your response. And the last winner is Fortune Bureau. We are going to reward our winners with free subscription. We are going to give you the terms. I think for Patrick, you get a day pass right on the spot. Come and explore our platform for the next 24 hours without any restrictions. Same goes for Eric and Fortune. And we will actually get in touch with you for access, to give you access to the platform. Right. And with that, ladies and gentlemen from the East and the West and wherever else, this is the end of our maiden flights on africansinAviation.com. Let us continue interacting, and we hope to see you on our next event and to actually get together on the discussion boards and on the professional directory, you name it. and to wish you all a good evening and a safe flight back to you, whatever it is you are doing on a Saturday. Thank you.